It has come to my attention that so many women are afraid to be by themselves. You do not know how to be alone without feeling lonely. Yet there is a deep part of you that wants to learn how to actually enjoy being in your own company without being overwhelmed with self-judgment, self-criticism, and trying to be productive. This is something that I struggled with for a long time. And I think that over the last few years, I've really learned to master this. So much that clients and women in my community are constantly asking me, Nicole, how do you start to spend time by yourself, with yourself, and actually enjoy it? Because every time I try to, I get overwhelmed by my own thoughts. I start to judge myself. I feel guilty, or I find ways to fill up my schedule again so that I have to do something else. Us women, we crave this alone time to ourselves because we are conditioned to not have it. From an early age, we are taught to be self-sacrificing and subservient to everybody else's needs first before our own. And so we learn to trade our own pleasure, our own joy, and our own sanity for the needs of other people, and therefore neglecting our own needs and destroying our own connection to ourselves. And it's no wonder that women feel so disconnected and disembodied to who they really are, and are later in life having more quarter life or midlife crises, are made to feel like they should have it all together when their whole lives they have spent trying to be something for everyone else and everything else. And so in this video, I want to share with you how you can actually learn to be in your own company, to love your alone time, and to effectively do that without feeling guilt or shame or loneliness. Let's get into it. Hello and welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, I'm Nicole, a life and business coach for high-functioning women. I'm a self-proclaimed foodie, content creator, educator, and your new abundance bestie. In my world, we talk about all things to do with elevating your life. I post weekly videos helping the everyday woman embody her highest self, create inner wealth, master her mindset, unlock her femininity, and be an absolute boss in life. I create resources, trainings, and host experiences online and in person in order to help you reconnect to your true self. Not the one you think you need to be, but the you that you were born to be. So you can reclaim your power and amplify your voice to lead, love, and create as a woman. If you like my vibe and you want a little bit more abundance in your life, hit subscribe to be notified whenever I drop a new episode. And be sure to check out the free resources in the description below. If you didn't know already, I have a women's community called the I Am Her Collective, and every month we meet for a free virtual group chat, for a free virtual global call with women all around the world who basically just want to meet other women and also talk about things to do with womanhood. Now, in our recent girl chat, this conversation came up about spending time on your own. One of the women inside said that she had always wanted to take herself out on solo dates and yet felt too intimidated to do so. She wanted to go to a specific cafe that she had in mind, but every time she would think about doing it, she would make excuses to not do it. She would find a way to keep herself busy or distracted, to say that she'll just do it another day. And I think this happens for a lot of us, especially when we're wanting to develop a deeper relationship with ourselves. There are things that our inner soul, ourselves, really want to do, places we want to be, but it's not within our usual habitual way of thinking, feeling, and behaving. And so because it's so foreign, it creates a little bit of a mismatch internally, and it freaks us out. And we actually continue to delay access to this thing over and over and over again until we just don't do it and we just settle. And the last piece of advice that I gave her was to actually check in on herself before and after the experience. Every time you do something just for yourself, ask yourself, how did I feel right after the experience? Did it actually energize me? Did it actually make me feel good? Did it actually teach me about myself? Make a habit of regularly checking in on how it's affecting you to do these things for yourself, because this isn't just any activity. This isn't just hanging out with a friend or going shopping. This is intentional time to actually be with yourself. If you actually dedicate the time to evaluate, do I feel better? Do I know myself better? What did I learn about myself? It's going to help you actually be able to check the progress or the meter of which how much more closeness you feel or more embodiment you feel within yourself. This is something that I teach and especially talk about in my Becoming Her program, which is a program on helping women step into their awakened and embodied selves. And this program really helps women to actually reclaim their power in life. And one of the first steps is to let go of these expectations of who you think you need to be, how you need to behave, and embark on that active journey of getting to know your real self, not the learned self that you needed to be to belong, but the real you. And unearthing that and unlocking that can feel really daunting and overwhelming and confusing if you don't have the guidance to help you do it. And so that program, I always talk about the importance of self-evaluation and checking in on your progress. If you never check in, you're not going to see how far you've come or understand that the connection with yourself is truly deepening and that it's actually benefiting you to do these things. We have monthly girl chats, like I said, in the community where we actually challenge each other to do things that allow us to shed these stories about who we need to be and to courageously and unapologetically do things that are more in alignment with our true selves. And this is what I challenge this girl with. So if you're watching this and you're similar to this girl who is essentially wanting to develop some sort of relationship with yourself and learn how to take yourself out, this is really, really going to help you do this. And I want to encourage you to jump in and join us inside the I Am Her Collective community where we do those free monthly girl chat calls. Jump in that conversation and be challenged, be supported, have people around you that's going to help you to actually navigate all of this. So the advice that I gave to this girl was these 3 simple steps. And before I go into some of the ways that you can take yourself out and begin this relationship with yourself, I want to share with you what I shared with her. The advice that I gave to this girl was, number 1, you need to start giving yourself reasons why you must do this. A lot of the time we're shooting all over ourselves. I should do this. I should start going to that cafe. I should start taking myself out. But it never moves from a should to an actual must. You have to give yourself actual reasons why you must do this or else. Otherwise, there is no pain that is greater than the current reality. There needs to be a real reason why and what it's going to cost you, why you need to do this. Just like if in a relationship, you say yes to being someone's partner and you never meet them ever. They keep asking you to hang out. You never give them your time. You keep saying no. What kind of relationship is that? Of course, the relationship will disintegrate. And just like a marriage, when couples are not being intimate with one another or spending time getting to know one another, that relationship disintegrates. You need to start by making it a should, that you have allocated time to work with yourself and to be by yourself. And that might require you to actually practice that habit to begin with by setting appointments with yourself and put them in your calendar like a little date. Just like if you put a date night with your partner or with a catch up with a friend, you want to do this for yourself and make it a must. Second thing I told her was that you need to normalize this behavior. So because it's unfamiliar, of course your brain is going to freak out. How you're going to bring some regulation into the freaking out brain is to just do some sort of slow exposure therapy method. And one of the ways that I told this girl to do it was to actually go to that cafe. Maybe she doesn't go in, but maybe she just walks past it. Maybe the next time she walks past it, she finds the exact chair that she's going to sit in. Maybe it's the one by the window, by the door. And then maybe she's going to think about what she's going to bring with her. She's going to decide what book she's going to read or what journal she's gonna bring, and she's gonna actually pack the bag. Maybe the next day she's gonna walk past the cafe with that bag and maybe she doesn't feel the courage to go in yet. And then by the next day or the next time, she actually does the full thing all the way through. Now, it's going to be uncomfortable. The first time you might stay for only 10 minutes. The next time you might stay for 30 minutes. But every time you do it, build up your tolerance and expose yourself little by little to the idea. And you can even visualize yourself. You can put on a certain playlist when you're going to go to the cafe. Begin to help yourself get used to this idea, and visualization is a great tool to help you do that. So why is learning to be by yourself without feeling alone so difficult? As women, we're taught to belong to everyone else outside of ourselves. We are stripped of the sense of agency, self-empowerment from a very young age. And later on in life, we have to learn how to find our voice, how to communicate boundaries, how to say no without feeling guilty, and knowing when to actually fill our cup first versus tending to other people. These are things that men don't necessarily have to navigate because they were celebrated for being the bad guy or for having boundaries. And they were praised for not necessarily just being a good boy, but also for being a bad boy. And I think that as a society, we've normalized just being women, putting their needs aside, I heard this quote from the Oprah Winfrey Show where they were talking about how there are no cards on the, the card place or the card section of the grocery store that says, thank you for Mother's Day or for our mothers. Thank you for putting boundaries and thank you for showing me what freedom and empowerment looks like. No, it's always like, thank you for all the sacrifices you've done for me. Thank you for just giving your whole life up so that I could have mine. I appreciate you for just everything that you've traded in order for me to be in who I am. These are the things that we are taught to normalize. But I want to be in a society and I want to create a life where women are truly celebrated and empowered through being able to also set boundaries and show that you can be effective, you can be of service to people, you can be loving, you can be powerful and not be deemed as selfish or whatever, right? Before I give you the 6 ways that you can practice developing that solo self-love, self-care time without feeling lonely, I just want you to know that it is normal that it feels hard to do this because you're not taught to do this early on. We are essentially always trying to belong to other people. But what this search for belonging always is, and what women feel all the time, and it manifests as competition and the need to be on top. Also on the other end of that, self-criticism, talking ourselves out of the opportunities that we want. Our search for belonging to the world and acceptance from the world is actually our soul's deepest search and craving to belong to our own selves. We don't know how to belong to ourselves, and that is why spending time with ourselves is so triggering and so difficult for so many of us. What if you could be with yourself and by yourself and not feel so lonely and so depleted and so overwhelmed? What if you could sit with the negative emotions, the fears, the thoughts, the doubts, the past experiences, and not make any of them wrong, rather sit with them and coexist with them? I believe that when women learn how to do this, rather than suppressing their emotion, hiding what they're really feeling, trying to avoid what they're going through and not deal with what they've suppressed because they never had an outlet to deal with it or to express it, what I believe happens when women learn to work with these parts of ourselves is we learn to spend empowered time on our own and therefore do much more incredible things out there in the world and show up as empowered women. Ultimately, when you are trying to find a sense of self-belonging, what you need to understand is that sometimes your metric or criteria for belonging to yourself is set at such a high standard that is unrealistic to yourself to even meet. And so we have to be realistic. Perhaps there are unconscious standards that we have set over ourselves for how to be good enough, for how to be worthy enough, for how to be acceptable and successful. And these metrics are not really even our own. We hold these standards of, I need to be like that woman, I need to earn this much money, I need to be constantly feeling happy. We set these unrealistic expectations on ourselves and we never check them. And we're working so hard trying to attain it and we can't. And therefore, when we spend time by ourselves, it's so uncomfortable because we're constantly in self-criticism and self-judgment. So we would rather not. We would rather not really tune into our bodies, not really feel our emotions because it is such an uncomfortable place. But this is how disembodiment begins, and this is how women lose themselves in this journey. And so what I highly recommend for you is to actually take some time to understand some of the stories that you need to release, to shift out of some of the narratives and the beliefs that maybe you learn early on that are not actually aligned with what you want to believe about life. For example, for a long time, I believed that having a lot of money was the only way to feel successful and safe. When the truth is, I could have a little amount of money and yet today feel so safe and so successful within myself because I have redefined that money isn't what creates that. It's my own ability to believe in my worth. This isn't something that I was taught or conditioned with growing up because my parents were immigrants and my mom had to really work for that money in order to keep us alive. Now I'm in such a different context and I can decide that that's not going to be my reason for living or my definition for success. So I did the work and am doing the work to redefine that narrative so that I'm not trapped by having to live and recreate that pattern of constantly putting my own needs at the expense of needing to make money and having to make ends meet. I can trust fully and be secure in my value and in my worth no matter how much money I have, and I'm not going to trade it just to make the money. Do you know what I mean? So 6 suggestions for you to take yourself on your first solo date. Number 1, go on a coastal walk and put on your favorite playlist. You can go and select your favorite coastal walk, or if you've never been on one, look for the most iconic ones and maybe go at sunrise or sunset, a time where it's going to be the most scenic and the most beautiful. A really big rule for taking yourself out is to feel that you are truly romanticizing your life. You can get yourself a cup of coffee on the way, or bring your journal, put on your headphones, and just do the thing. It's going to make you feel so good. Not only that, it's also going to feel like you're literally in a movie and you are the main character. Second thing you can do is read a book at a cafe. When you go to a public place by yourself and you bring something that is intentionally enjoyable to you, it's something that's going to not just spark a sense of accountability because there's other people around you and you know that they're looking. Also, it's going to be like a declarative statement to the world, like, hey world, I matter. And I'm willing to dedicate time for myself to do what I love in a public place. This might be really daunting, and like I said, with the advice that I gave the girl in my community, I really recommend that you slowly get yourself to do it. And perhaps if it's not a cafe, maybe it's a less busy place, maybe it's at a beach or at a park. This is also something that you can try. The third thing you can do is journal at a nice lookout spot. Journaling for me is one of the best ways that I really do a proper check-in on myself. And so journaling, you might come with the intention that you're gonna go to a nice spot purely so that you can journal on what you're currently feeling at this stage in your life. Or maybe you go in with the intention to journal on what you want for yourself in the next year or in the next 3 years. Set some time to actually do some intentional journaling and self-seeking, having a dialogue with yourself and within yourself, and let that flow out onto the page so you can really understand some of the unconscious intentions and things that are happening within you that maybe you haven't had a chance to actually share out loud. Number 4, you could take yourself out for actually a fun activity and do more of like a traditional date style. So you can go and take yourself out for a movie and have dinner at your favorite restaurant. This might again also be more on the extreme side for those of you who are brand new to taking yourself out, but that's okay. You can do this in small ways. Maybe you watch a movie at home by yourself, guilt-free, put the popcorn out, give yourself the snacks, make a big deal out of it and romanticize the whole experience. Then maybe you get the order in for dinner or something like that, or you cook yourself a nice slow dinner. This is a lot easier when you live by yourself. I understand if you have family or you live with a partner, this might be a little bit difficult. So this is where taking yourself out might be a better option for you. Number 5 is to sign up for a class where you don't know anyone. This can go one of 2 ways. You can overwhelm yourself and think, oh my God, what are they going to think of me? I don't know anyone, and get super socially nervous. But this doesn't have to be the path. You can pre-train your mind, and we actually teach self-language and self-coaching tools in the I Am Her Collective when we do our girl chats and our free workshops. So if you're interested in that, you can definitely jump into the community and learn more about how to use your language to help you actually do the things that are uncomfortable. But learning to self-coach around not focusing on what could go wrong or what you're worried about and spinning yourself in a spiral, rather focusing on what could be possible and getting yourself to a place of excitement rather than anxiety. Because the truth is, whatever you label it, it's still the same chemical reactions in your body. Nervousness, anxiety is the same chemical reactions and feelings as excitement and anticipation. So you can choose to label it as I'm excited for a new experience, I'm so curious about what would happen, or you could call it I'm so anxious, I'm so nervous, I'm so stressed. And your body and your emotions are going to respond differently to how you talk to yourself. So if you sign yourself up for a class, you attend knowing that nobody's there, you can tell yourself it's so good, I get to reinvent myself. And this is why travel is so helpful and why I've done it many times on my own, because I know that I don't have to play by anyone's rules. I literally get to reinvent myself, and I could be a different person if I wanted to because nobody knows me. And there's something extremely liberating about doing this and just meeting people as you are at that moment in time, rather than constantly being around the same people and the same friends that are habitually used to you being a certain way. And the 6th thing is to go to an art gallery or a museum. This is great because it's a slow-paced activity and you can really just get lost in doing this. You can look cute, dress nice, catch public transport, make a whole day out of it. And this is another way that you can romanticize your life. I like to, when I do days like this, I like to book my favorite restaurants. I like to book myself for a massage or get myself flowers on the way home. And it's really just those little things. If you take the time to also dress up, look good, and feel good, it's gonna have you feeling like absolutely on top of the world and training your mind that being by yourself is safe and it is okay. The last thing I want to say is that this whole process of getting to know yourself is like dating. It's like dating yourself, and you need to warm up to being by yourself, with yourself, and not feel uncomfortable. You have to show your brain and show it that it is a safe place to be, that it's an enjoyable place to be, and that's something that you actually crave. And over time, you're going to start to want more and more time with yourself, and it's not going to feel so daunting. There are going to be times where solo self-care looks like romanticized, pretty, adventurous things, and there are other times where it looks like literally just being at home, being a potato, and just watching some movies, or snuggling up in bed, or going to bed by like 7 p.m. or 8 p.m. at night. Whichever way it lands for you on the spectrum, it is all a way to get to know yourself and to be with yourself. And this is the goal of all of this. So anyway, if this video helped you, I invite you to join me again in the I Am Her Collective free women's community. And if you're someone who wants to learn how to become the best version of yourself in 4 simple steps, I'm running a free workshop training that you can join in the description below. And it's going to help you really take those next steps to embody the best version of you and show up authentically, unapologetically, and truly free from the labels of the past and creating the life that you want and that you know you deserve on your terms today. So sign up for that. It's going to be in the description below as well. And I'll see you in my next video. Thanks for watching.
If you want to take your abundance to another level, I want to help you. I'm a life and business coach for women who want to step into their next level by activating wealth from the inside out. To help you take your first step to unlocking true abundance and your aligned potential, I'm giving you free resources, workshops, and masterclasses that you can access on demand right now. Check out www.nicoleconception.co/free-resources to get your hands on it. For more videos like this, check out the other playlists and series I have on this channel, and don't forget to hit subscribe to be notified whenever I drop a new video. And if you're more of the podcast type, check out Freedom in Flow, where I dive even deeper into the concepts that will help you create less hustle and more flow, abundance, and alignment in your life and business. Now, if you're a reader, you'll want to subscribe to my email list for unfiltered, honest, and most importantly, applicable life upgrades. Now, don't be a stranger. Connect with me on Instagram and TikTok and send me a message. I love getting to know you and your story. It's why I do this. Okay, my lovely, that's all for now. I'll see you soon. Signing off, Nicole.